What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 20 of the Rolling Over 40 podcast. We are back after a long absence. I was traveling for most of the summer, and I have finally come back and started training again, and I'm happy to get the podcast going again. My guest today is Mr. Rowdy Stillwell. Rowdy is my first guest who is actually from my hometown of Midland, Texas. And, oh, did I say from? He's actually from Andrews, Texas, which is near Midland, but he lives in Midland, Texas, and he works in the oil industry, as does my father. And we talk about his childhood growing up at Andrews, his transition into Texas Tech, his one semester there to start with, and how he went to community college after that, and then eventually found his way back and got his degree in engineering, and his recent interest in Brazilian jiu-jitsu, which he trains, his how he broke 3 bones in his leg on his 4th class and had to take over a year off, in addition to all things jiu-jitsu. So please enjoy the show. All right. Hello, Rowdy Stillwell. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
Appreciate
no problem. Yeah, of course. Glad to have you here. So you and I were just chatting a little bit before we got started here. You are my first guest who's actually from my hometown of Midland, Texas. So my first question is, are you actually from Midland?
I am not from Midland in the purest sense. I'm actually from 45 miles north of Midland from Andrews.
Andrews. Ooh, even better.
Yeah. And maybe, I don't know how many of your guests, I think I know your mom, I know your dad, and I know your sister.
Yeah.
So I know the entire family. I've actually worked with your sister and your dad in the past.
Right.
And I went to, actually, your mom was one of my like guidance counselors or whatever at UTPB.
UTPB?
Yeah.
Oh, is that right?
I matriculated there for a while.
Did you? Okay. So Andrews, that's one of those places growing up in Midland. It's like I hear the word Andrews and I know about Andrews Highway and all that, but I don't know that I've ever been to Andrews. Not that there's not that there's much point to go, but I mean, how big is Andrews? It's got to be pretty small.
Yeah, so when I grew up there, I think the sign said 14,000 people. I think that's probably it's been pretty stagnant since
Okay.
I graduated high school in 1998. So probably been fairly
no real
stagnant.
growth. People aren't moving to
No,
Andrews?
there's not a lot of not a lot of things to make Andrews grow.
Okay.
It's an oil town, much like Midland. Back when I was growing up, this is pre-cell phones. There was a lot of professionals, engineers, geologists that were based in Andrews to be close to the field for oil field work. And with the advent of cell phones, there was kind of an exodus to Midland, to Houston, where the guys didn't need to be as close to the field. So that was kind of the dynamic growing up in Andrews. It was at one time a professional town, but by the time I graduated, it was mostly blue collar oil and gas jobs.
Gotcha. So growing up in Andrews, and you graduated high school there, and then you went straight to Texas Tech, I take it?
Yes, went straight to Texas Tech. Wanted to be an engineer. I did one semester, and I had a outrageously low GPA.
Okay.
So
why was that? You just couldn't focus on your studies? Were you partying too hard?
I wasn't partying as hard as I would have liked to have. I wish I had that really cool party stories, but I think that I was first generation college student, and there was a big intimidation factor, and
Sure.
just being around folks that were more polished from better schools, and it was just intimidating to a small town guy that didn't have the background. So in which I'm going to actually be able to tie this back into jiu-jitsu later, because
Ooh.
that's yeah. So kind of I've never been never been inherently a fan of getting outside of my comfort zone. And when I went to Texas Tech for the first time, it was kind of my first one of my first early experience being overwhelmed by a situation that I just wasn't super comfortable with, that I wasn't familiar with. So came back, worked in the oil field, kind of bounced around just junior colleges and changed majors and that kind of thing. And then came full circle and got a petroleum engineering degree from Texas Tech in 2008. So 10 years after I graduated high school, with a lot of world. And I learned to like Texas Tech a whole bunch. So full circle.
Now, do you attribute, you said getting out of your comfort zone and you weren't crazy about it. Do you attribute that to growing up in a small town like Andrews?
Yeah, I think so. Just socioeconomically, my family, we were probably lower middle class, didn't have a lot of opportunity for mobility, that kind of thing. The kids you grow up with there from pretty much from kindergarten until you graduate with as a senior, you're not exposed to a lot of different just beliefs, ideas, personalities. You just have a relatively small margin of the population that you're exposed to. And so when you kind of break out of that, that environment for whatever reason, whether it be college or work or whatever, for me, it was just a little bit overwhelming in the sense that, I'd never, a nice truck in my high school was a 20-year-old truck. And then when I go to a tech for the first time, Texas Tech, there's people driving brand new BMWs and brand new trucks. And so it was just, I didn't feel like I identified with that population. So I thought, hey man, college isn't for me. And so I kind of just overly intimidated and irrationally intimidated by that.
It sounds like almost a culture shock that you went through there.
It was a culture shock. I wasn't alone in that. A lot of the guys that I graduated with, we kind of had the same story. We went off to bigger, and we all were, we could take tests. I did reasonably well on my ACT and fairly high GPA in my high school, which is relative, but it was enough to get me into pretty much any school I wanted to go to. Tech was close to the home, made sense. But a lot of the other guys went to other places, and we kind of all found ourselves with similar stories of, hey, what was your GPA? Oh, mine was lower, And so it was just something that a lot of us had to overcome, those type of obstacles, like you said, culture shock and the stress of studying compared with the cultural stresses that were brought upon, and we just weren't prepared for it and didn't have the network at home. Most of our parents weren't college graduates, couldn't tell us what to expect. So it was entering a new world, and it ate a lot of us up.
Yeah, I teach that level. I teach community college math. I teach math at Cal State, and but for a lot of my students, what they're going through, even though they're living at home and they're in their own community, and the college that I teach them at might be down the street from their house. A lot of them get into college, and it's still culture shock. They just a lot of them have a hard time handling the expectations of a full course load of a college, and I see it every day. They are absolutely shocked at the amount of work it takes to be a college student, especially a full-time college student. So I just think it's interesting, culture shock. It's like I wouldn't think, Andrews to Lubbock, they're not that far away. You got a small town in Texas and then a slightly larger town in Texas, a little, what is it, like an hour from Andrews or something?
About an hour and a half, yeah, more or less.
Hour and a half. I don't instantly think, wow, culture shock going from Andrews to Lubbock. It's like, but that's a form of it. So, yeah. So you went full circle, you said, though, and what was so you did that one semester, you said, and then you took some years off in between?
So I went one semester to Tech, came home, and got into community college system, Odessa College. Big fan of community colleges, by the way. And I kind of worked part-time while I went to school and sort of found my way through work. And I never took a semester off. I was always taking CLEP tests or just staying engaged with college. And I was studying political science. I decided that, you try to fine tune the variables and say like, okay, I went to Tech and I did miserable. Was it the college? Was it the coursework? Was it, and you're always looking for things to blame or things to fix, So I thought, well, maybe I'm not cut out to be an engineer. So I changed my major to political science, which I'm pretty passionate and I like political science. And had about 9 hours left on my political science degree. And I decided that, my plan was to go to law school. And I lived with a guy that was going through law school. And I said, man, I don't want to do that. So I switched to petroleum engineering with like 9 hours left on my political science degree. And went down the petroleum engineering path right where I started, right at Tech, and graduated with that. And it's worked out really well. And I don't know if I'm necessarily have that engineer mindset, but I don't know that I necessarily have a political science mindset either. So I'm still trying to figure it out.
I hear people say it a lot, engineering mindset, because my wife worked. She has a degree in GIS. I don't know if you've heard of that, Geographic Information Systems. So are there applications in the oil industry for that as well?
Yeah.
GIS? Yeah.
Yeah, there's actually one of my good friends, actually the last guy I did a podcast with. He's a GIS guy for one of the major oil corporations, and yeah, so it's fairly common. I'm not a GIS guru, but I know I could probably use it more and learn more about it. So it's definitely part of our discipline.
So you were a guest on another podcast recently?
Actually, during COVID, a buddy and I an engineer and a GIS guy, we kind of did a podcast together.
Okay.
I don't know if we ever published it, but we just kind of talked about, it was early on in COVID, and we just kind of built some spreadsheets and built some graphs and kind of forecasted what we thought would happen, and we were wrong.
That was my next question.
No. We
Is
missed
that why
it,
you never published it?
Yeah, I think, it's prescient to not publish it, but I don't know if I had that prescience, but yeah. So that was kind of my last podcast that we did. Okay. So that was 5 years ago. So
okay, cool. But not jiu-jitsu related. Not that we've talked jiu-jitsu yet in here, but we're going to get there. But I was going to say the engineering mindset is like my wife, when she worked as a GIS technician specialist, she was working alongside different types of engineers, and she would always talk about the engineer mindset or like the engineer type of person. And I don't know, I never understood it or what she meant. And then here you are mentioning it again, and it's like, I mean, I'll hear that there's some sort of engineer stereotype, but I feel like I've met tons of engineers, and I've never really noticed personally any specific characteristic about them that is that similar. They're like wildly different people, but like, what do you mean when you say the engineer mindset then?
I think that I'll talk about the positive aspect of it. I mean, there's a misconception, or maybe it's not a misconception. There's a stereotype that engineer, they enjoy looking at their shoes rather than looking at people in the eyes, that they're generally, right. Yeah. So the way I think that engineering school programs you is to look at anytime you're confronted with a problem, to understand the problem first. Okay, what's the problem we're facing? Understand the tools you have available, and then formulate a plan to use your tools to address the problem that's at hand. And so it's a very logical, devoid of emotion type mindset, I think. So when my wife comes to me with an issue that's, an emotional issue, the bad part of the engineering mindset is, okay, here's your problem. Here's the tools we have to solve it. Let's do this, and let's go on to the next problem. So I think that's probably the positive and the negative engineer mindset.
Yeah, I thought you said positive, and then you went there. So.
Yeah, I took it the wrong direction, didn't I?
It's okay. Hey, it's all, you can't separate those things, I guess, right? You got to take the good with the bad. So you're not sure if you have the engineering mindset, you said, though.
No, I'm not. I don't think I'm a pure engineer. As I don't. I love spreadsheets and I love budgets and that kind of thing. But I think that I'm not as organized as a lot of engineers are. And I like to write. I like to do a lot of play musical instruments and that kind of thing. So, it's not. It would be an overgeneralization to say that most engineers don't do that. But I don't see that a whole lot in my interactions with other engineers. It is sort of a artsy. I like literature. I like to read a lot of classics and stuff. And at our engineering, we don't talk a lot about the classics, so.
Sure. But you just said, I love spreadsheets. I've never said that before in my life. I don't think I love spreadsheets. So I didn't know that's something to love.
Problems. Yeah. I love a good spreadsheet, and I go on spreadsheet. I will not diverge this this talk into spreadsheet talk, but I can do it though.
So you could easily do a podcast about spreadsheets, I take
I'd
it,
love to
right?
do
Maybe you
it.
should
Yeah,
start one.
yeah. I don't know what the viewership would be, but it would be a lot of
Yeah.
engineers and accountants. Yeah.
Probably. But you mentioned music, and is that your violin back there?
Yeah, that's my violin. I don't play the violin. It's kind of for my kids. I like to sort of expose my kids to have opportunities to touch things, to feel things. So that's my kids. I play guitar, which is on this other wall over here. Yeah, I like music. I'm a big fan of music and a big fan of golf, and I don't play either one of them. I grew up playing musical
But you play
instruments.
guitar. You do play
I play
music.
guitar, but I don't actively pursue it and play in bands or anything. It's kind of one of those things that it's a lot different. And we'll talk about my expertise in jiu-jitsu. I don't want to by any means. The listeners will get to know that I'm not a jiu-jitsu expert, but I think that there are some things that are better experienced by not participating. And that's how I feel about golf and music, that my participation in either one of those endeavors waters it down and takes it to a level that I don't like.
So you don't play golf at all?
Once a year, maybe, and it just reminds me how much I hate it.
Oh,
And
okay.
if you've ever gone to a professional golf, I've had the opportunity to go to one or two
No.
PGA tours, and those guys, they're superhumans, and
Right.
it's amazing to watch them do the things they can do. And it's not so much the physical part; it's the mindset of over and over not making a mental mistake, or it's actually it's a mental mistake that translates to your body. And those guys being able to do that over and over and over, to me, it's inspiring, and I realize that I'm not at that level. And the same thing with music. There's guys that musically that are just gifted, and they follow up their giftedness with practice and perseverance, and they're really amazing to be around a good musician. But I think that had I not played guitar, had I not played golf in the past, that I wouldn't be able to respect how far those guys have come, and how true and perfect their craft is in a certain sense, how much they've perfected it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, that's my rant on golf.
Mm-hmm.
And music, yeah.
And music, and well, but it sounds like because you could say the same thing about martial arts and jiu-jitsu, where it's like the talent, especially right now, it's like we're in the golden age of martial arts, just the way it's glorified, and with MMA and UFC and everything, it's like, before, years ago, before, 20, 30 years ago, you just couldn't see you didn't have access to all these talented people like we do now. But unlike golf, you are trying your hand at jiu-jitsu. So do you want to tell us why? Like, where did that come from? Because you love golf, but you're like, nope, I don't need to go there. Maybe once a year, but
Yeah.
where did the interest in jiu-jitsu even come from?
So I'm kind of, and I've never really voiced this in this way. And when thinking about doing this podcast, I kind of thought, how do I voice this? And I'm sort of a fan of trying to make my life holistically whole. And so to have everything rightly ordered, and I don't believe it's something that I'm going to be able to achieve, but I think just the trying to achieve that is a worthy goal. So in that goal, a lot of the books that I was reading, and a lot of my mindset was just going towards something that spoke to being uncomfortable, and being really comfortable being uncomfortable. And which goes back to what we talked about with college, is that, growing up in a small town where everybody basically looks the same as you, talks the same as you, has the same values as you, you're not really tested a lot. Your comfort level's not tested. You've grown up with these guys, your pecking orders, it's set out. No one's really testing each other. And you kind of grow up in that environment where you're supported and loved and all these things, but you're not tested. And so when you get outside your comfort zone, a lot of times you melt down, it's fight or flight type thing. So I was thinking about just things that would challenge me. And physically, I've never been a great athlete or anything like that. I was kind of blessed with really good endurance. So, I mean, I say really good. I've always been able to like run a 5K, no problem. It's not like something I've ever had to train for. I got into ultra marathon running, training for ultra marathons, and it was kind of a Forrest Gumped it. I was running 18 miles, 22 miles sometimes, and I just one day decided this is ridiculous. What am I doing this for? And I just kind of quit. And so I've always liked those things of just saying, look, what is the most uncomfortable thing I can do, and how can I get comfortable with that? And jujitsu is really uncomfortable. And I'll speak to the beginner that if anyone's listening to this and hasn't tried it yet, it is like it's not fun. It's
That is the uncomfortable. Describing
yes,
it as uncomfortable, that's like the understatement of the year,
right,
right?
yeah.
It's like so uncomfortable.
And so it was sort of it's like when I was 40, let's see, 44 when I started, 43, 44. And if you're 43, 44 years old, there's not a lot of beginner jujitsu guys, especially in West Texas. So I just thought, man, this is radical. This would be something that was like radically out of my comfort zone. And so I kicked it around. I talked to some guys that I knew that were practitioners. And then one night, I just like sometimes you just got to sign yourself up. So I just said, hey, look, I'm going to take an intro class. It's going to be miserable. And I'll go into knowing how miserable it is. So I signed up for that intro class, showed up that Monday, and it was miserable and I hated it. And it was exactly what I was looking for. And it's awkward, it's hard, it's everything, everything that you can think of negative. Jiu-jitsu has all of that. And that's exactly what I wanted. And so I think that it scratched that itch to stretch myself.
So let's back up a little bit because Midland, like what? So where is the gym located roughly in Midland, and what's the name of it?
So it's
Just out of
called
curiosity.
Midland Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and
Okay.
it's on the Midland, but it's sort of on the north side of Midland,
Okay.
on sort of North Midkiff area and north of the Loop. So it's a guy named Brad Barnes who had that gym. He trained under Bruno Bastos, a Brazilian guy who also has a gym here called
Oh,
Bastos Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So right now, and I didn't look at this before, there's about 5 BJJ gyms in Midland right now. Probably another 4 or 5 in Odessa. So,
mm-hmm.
and I've been told, and as we'll get into, I'm not a connoisseur of jiu-jitsu, but I've been told that, however you want to measure it, but for our area size, remoteness, that we have a fairly robust jiu-jitsu population in Midland and a fairly good level of instructorship that's available for students here.
Well, no matter what, no matter where you are, compared to how things were in the past, 5, 10, even more years ago than that. I mean, wherever you go now, it's the quality of instruction and just the ubiquity of jujitsu is at a level that it was not at years ago. When I interviewed my cousin who lives in New Hampshire, I think he was saying 20 years ago when he first started, there was one purple belt in the whole state, and now there's 6 black belts in
Yeah.
one police precinct or something like that.
Mhm.
So it's a whole different world compared to how it was before. So the gym that you are currently or that you started training at, did you had some friends that went there, and then that's the one that you decided to
No,
go to?
actually, that the gym that I went to, and I can't tell you why, but I think it was schedule reasons. I didn't know a single person there. It so happened that the first day I trained there, one of the brown belts, we had a mutual connection. I mean, it's Midland, you're going to have a mutual connection with people, but we had a mutual connection with one of the brown belts. So, but other than that, really, I walked in completely blind, old guy that was just trying to start moving his body in weird ways.
But I'm sure you ran into other guys, I mean, there that are kind of like you, like beginners in their 40s, or no?
No, I don't think
Oh,
so. I think I was kind of the oldest beginner. So I don't know. I don't know what I would say that this gym's probably in total less than 50 adults.
okay.
Uh, And so I think I don't know. We'll get into my exposure at the gym was pretty limited, but
Right.
but I felt like I was one of the only guys at this level, but not at all. I don't want to send anyone the wrong, like, yeah, jujitsu is miserable,
Yep.
especially as a beginner. But the community is awesome from day one. When you're going through this misery, there's people that remember that misery, that are supporting you, and it couldn't be more gracious. That was one of my early worries, was like, hey, am I taking time away from this brown belt who came to class today to learn his skills, and he's sitting over here wasting his time teaching me how to tie my belt, But as I've learned more about jiu-jitsu, that's kind of what it's all about. And I think as a beginner, just knowing that those guys are getting better by helping you even tie your belt or whatever it is, it's kind of it's a freeing thing to know that you're not a burden on that system, but your part in that system is important, and you're a brick in that system that needs to be there as a beginner. So I think that was kind of, once I figured that out, that was a kind of a freeing feeling.
Yeah. A lot of my listeners, well, frankly, I technically do have an international audience. I
Yeah.
think there's probably one person in one foreign country maybe who listens, but
I
most of
listened
my
to you.
listeners are.
I was in Mexico last week, and I listened to your podcast in Mexico. So you're definitely
Oh,
international.
it was you then. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I think that counts, but most of my listeners are the people I train with out here, and
Mhm.
but yeah, like, and who would not realize that's a very different experience, because at my gym, I mean, I joined because, I mean, I'd thought about it for a long time, but when my son started training at the gym, I joined because so many other dads had already joined, and they were kind of, and I could see that class happening after my son's class, and oh, sorry, wrong button. And I could see that there's quite a community of dads, like in our age group, in their
Mhm.
40s, late 30s, who are signing up. And so, like, when I went to my very first class, oh, I was one of probably 15 or
Oh
20
man,
dads in their 40s who are white belts. I mean,
that's awesome.
it was just pure. I mean, in addition to, don't get me wrong, like, there's these young bucks, 17-year-old young
Yeah,
bucks as well, who are, that's a different thing. But
yeah,
dudes in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, I mean, it's all across the board in a gym like mine. But I don't know what it would be like. It'd be probably a little bit more intimidating if I walked in and I was clearly very much older than most people there. I can see that being, even speaking of uncomfortable, that would be a little bit even more uncomfortable as jujitsu already is.
yeah. It adds a layer of uncomfort, but that was my whole deal. Like, just, and I think one of your questions, I don't remember exactly which question it was, but I'll speak to the idea of, like, when you run up against obstacles or you run into dead ends, what do you do? And just, before I set my foot in the jiu-jitsu gym, I said, it's going to be awkward in ways that I don't even know.
Mm-hmm.
And when that happens, you just deal with it. And that's it. Going back to golf a little bit. Someone once told me that a great golfer, what makes a great golfer really good is how they recover from bad shots. And so, knowing ahead of time, when you're starting jujitsu, when you're starting anything in life that's going to be a challenge, to know there's going to be an obstacle that you're going to run into without a doubt. And it's going to discourage you, it's going to intimidate you, but you're going to have to push through it. Having that mindset, to me, beforehand, it helped me deal with 14-year-old girls making me tap out because I felt like I was going to have a heart attack.
14. Yes, yes. I hear you. It's a metaphor. One of my guests, my second guest, episode 2, he was talking about how jujitsu to him is like a metaphor for life, similar to what you just said. I mean, you're gonna be put in these situations where you're uncomfortable in life, and you got to fight your way out of them. And jujitsu does a great job of kind of giving you the mental challenges that you're gonna have in life. Anyway, and But I mean, jujitsu seems to be, of all the martial arts, very unique in that regard. But had you considered, before you started jujitsu, had you considered other martial arts, or was it just you thought about jujitsu and I'm like, I'm going to go with that one?
Yeah. So when I was young, probably, I don't know, 10, 11, 12, I trained Taekwondo.
Okay.
Wasn't super fulfilling from a lot of
Same here.
yeah, it just wasn't. And so I have a lot of buddies that are police officers here in Midland, and I like the practicality of jujitsu. That I don't get in a lot of fights outside of but just to know that as a dad that there's the ability to protect your family without killing the person that you're protecting your family against. West Texas, we have a very big gun culture, and a lot of times I told people I was doing jujitsu, and they're like, "Well, why don't you just carry a gun and shoot somebody?" Well, I don't always want to shoot people. That
Not always.
yeah. So
sometimes, yeah, there's a time and a place for shooting people, but but
right.
not always.
So I just wanted to have those tools in the toolbox to. And I thought that jujitsu would be it makes a lot of sense. The community's big, and it kind of addresses those needs to be able to handle yourself in a confrontation like this, if you needed to be to de-escalate more than shoot somebody, as the case may be.
Absolutely, yeah. My cousin that I interviewed, the New Hampshire guy, he talked a lot about that too. Just because he's a police officer in New Hampshire, and yeah, he talked a lot about just the de-escalation and just. How a lot of the cops out there go through the jiu-jitsu training, and he says it's very clear the cops who have had the jiu-jitsu training versus the ones that hadn't, and not just the physical, but like the mental side of it, just how you can kind of stay calm in certain situations, and how you're not all. I think he put the way he put it was like you're not all just tensed up with adrenaline when you get into an uncomfortable situation. Yeah, and just speaking to you, or when you talked about uncomfortable, it's like, I guess it was pretty similar for me, and for a lot of the things I've done in my life was intentionally to put myself in uncomfortable positions. Like when I like traveling, yes, traveling's fun, but I mean, I intentionally would travel to places where I didn't know a person and didn't have a plan, and just like when I first went to Thailand I was living in Korea for a year, didn't know anybody. Then I went to Thailand. I just bought a one-way ticket, had no plan at all, didn't know anybody, and I just wanted the challenge of just like, okay, I'm gonna have to figure shit out. It's gonna be uncomfortable. The mountain climbing I've done in the Andes, when I've done like ice climbing and whatnot, talk about uncomfortable, being freezing and being on a mountain, and in a blizzard, that's pretty freaking uncomfortable. But I mean, for all those things, all the things I did, it's like one thing I never had the specific discomfort with was like kind of physically like combat, like I never really had that specific form of discomfort. And I similar to you, I felt like I needed it. It's like I need, talking about holistic, it's like, yeah, I need that form of discomfort as well. And jiu-jitsu is definitely giving me that. And yeah, all the things you say about it, as uncomfortable it is, it's hard. It's just in the same way, in the same breath, somehow it is also extremely fulfilling. And you said you went to, did you say, I just reread your first text to me like a month ago or 2 months ago, and it said you went to 4 classes?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm probably, I don't know if you ever had anyone in my level on this class. So yeah, that my
yes
in-class experience was 4 classes of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Okay.
I think it was 2 weeks. I trained, or maybe it's 3 weeks, because I might have went one class for 1 week, then I did 2 classes. Anyway, I can kind of tell when I catch the bug on something and I'm going to go deep on it. So I knew that, look, this is something I'm going to go deep in. And I sort of read some jiu-jitsu books, and I said, okay, look, I have this theoretically, I know that I want to do this, so let's go put it into practice. Let's do some applied jiu-jitsu. So I went to 3 classes. Everything was good. I was headed, this is going to sound more impressive than it actually is, but I was headed to Brown University to give a talk at Brown University. And that was on I was
about jiu-jitsu? No, I'm just kidding.
No, not about jiu-jitsu. Yeah. But I was going to give a talk, and that was in March, and it was a Wednesday where I was going to give the talk. And the Friday before I was going to fly out, there was a class at lunchtime. So I told my boss that I work with, I said, hey, I'm going to go, I'm leaving, I'm going to be out for the week going to Providence, and but I'm going to go catch a jiu-jitsu class before I go. And he said, man, I wouldn't do that if I were you. He's like,
oh no,
that's I said, you're crazy. He tells me that occasionally, like when I'm going to do something dumb, like, hey, you probably shouldn't do that. But he said that. And so I go to class, and I sat in the parking lot, and I think the class started at 12:30 or something like that. And like it was 12:28 and no one was there. And I was like, all right, I guess I'm going to just take it to the house today. I guess I misread the schedule or something. And then at that time, some people started showing up. So I go inside, and it was just a normal day so far, just pure misery. Heart rates probably, close to stroke level heart rates, and, all those things. And we were about 45 minutes into class, and I was rolling with I can't remember if he was a blue belt or a white belt, but he was a younger guy, super great guy. And we were doing takedowns, and we would start with, I was on my left leg standing, and he was holding my right leg. And I guess I'm going to stop. I've always been a pretty decent endurance athlete.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think it's because I have great lungs. I think it's just because I'm a dummy and I will not quit. It's an ego thing. And I'd never, in the 3 classes I'd taken, I'd never taken a break or said, hey, time out. It just was something I wasn't comfortable doing. And at this particular time, there was only probably 4 of us in the class, so there wasn't a lot of downtime. It was pretty fast paced. And the story that I tell to everyone who doesn't know jiu-jitsu is like, basically I've been wrestling for 45 minutes, and that wasn't completely true. You take breaks in between there to get instruction. But so he was holding my right leg, I was bouncing on my left leg, and I was completely and totally exhausted. And I jumped up, and he pulled down, and my left leg snapped. I broke my tibia, my fibula, and then in my ankle, my posterior malleolus was fractured. But the funny thing is, as soon as my leg broke and I laid down, there was 2 thoughts that came to my head. The first thing was like, I got to look and make sure it's really broke, because if it's just spraying or something, I can't lay here. So I peeked around, and it was really broken. It was, my leg was in half. And my next thought was, thank God I get to take a break. I was just like, I can rest. They're not going to make me get up and do anymore. So broke the leg, went to had a surgery, had a titanium rod put in. And really, I think not so much because anything I'd learned in jiu-jitsu, but it was just the path that I was going down with adversity. I wasn't that bothered by breaking my leg. And I just kind of knew, like, hey, look, when you're 44 years old and when you try to do something like this, these are the things that are happening. These are the risks. And you're just going to have to get over it. So that was last March. It's been about 1 year and 6 months now. I've been working out sort of to rehab and everything like that. And so the plan was to go back in September. Had a little minor back injury at the first of the month that I'm kind of clearing up. But like you, my son is starting probably in the next couple of weeks. And so I'll be going with him and watching him. And it's at a different gym. Actually, at this gym, I know a lot of the guys. I see one of the guys about once a week, and he's like, all right, it's time to get back in, So I'll
and
have
your son's 5 years old?
Yep, my son's 5, and he'll be starting just, and it's, I don't know if you as a dad, but just when your kids are there and it's just convenient. Hey, look, we're already here. Yeah. Let's just tack another hour or hour and a half onto it and call it good.
Yeah.
So yeah, it'll work out good.
So this was March of 1 year ago. So March of 2024 is when
yes, sir.
The break happened. Oh
that's
my
it.
God. But that's when you say tibia and fibula, I mean, are we talking like in the middle of your shin bone, like right there in the center of it, or down?
So the shin bone cracked about, I don't know. It's not exactly middle, but maybe 3 inches towards my foot from the middle.
Uh-huh.
And then the smaller bone, I think it's the fibula, it cracked sort of up by my knee cap. It was
Oh,
closer to the
different
knee.
places.
Yeah, and then the ankle, the posterior malleolus is in the ankle. So it's a twisting injury. And
Oh,
so, the fear was, and I thought, man, I'm 44 years old. I don't know. Maybe I have like osteoporosis or something like that. I
yeah.
just didn't think. I've never had a broken bone until this, so I thought I was invincible when it comes to bones and that kind of thing. And so when the surgeon went to repair it, I told him, I was like, man, can like when you're in there, can you make sure that there's no like, why did this happen? And he laughed and he said, man, it's just a freak accident. There's nothing to,
Hmm.
don't think into it. Your bones are strong. Everything's good. So that was sort of a relief that it wasn't something, that was part of going forward. It wasn't anything that was going to set me back from doing it again. I guess it's a good and bad. I don't know if I wouldn't at that time would have welcomed like, oh no, you can't do jiu-jitsu again. I might have said, okay, that's good. But uh, I was cleared to do jiu-jitsu actually over a year ago, and but all of the doctors who cleared me to do jiu-jitsu had never done jiu-jitsu. So I was like,
Ah,
I don't know that you know exactly what I'm getting into. And I think it was a good choice to lay off and just to build up. So with a broken leg, I was non-weight bearing for like 8 weeks. So
so
you lose
you
all.
were on crutches?
Yeah, I was on crutches. Actually, it was a wheelchair to a walker to crutches to a
Okay.
walking boot. So there's kind of a transition, and the hip mobility is something that you really lose a lot of, and that's one thing that I noticed in jujitsu was that your hip mobility and knowing where your hips are is like really important. That's one of the things that I did notice from jujitsu, and I'm not a super coordinated guy, and I think that one of the things that I noticed with jujitsu is like knowing where all your body parts are in space at all times. I think that's kind of the cornerstone of coordination,
Hmm.
and learning those things and knowing where you are and being able to like say, okay, I can move my hip when I'm in this area. I think is a really important part of my jujitsu journey. So I wanted to make sure that I had the mobility in my hips and legs that I needed to not just go in there and kind of just stumble my way through things, to be at least at the level where I was before, because I think that would be discouraging to step back even from a beginner stage to a sub beginner stage, to think, man, I got a long way to go. But so yeah, that's where I'm at now.
Hmm. So you haven't started training again yet, though, but
No.
you're planning to pretty soon?
Yes, planning to. September was the date. I got like a minor back injury now that I'm kind of working on. And yeah, I got a gym to go to, and should start training here in the next month or so. I thought by the time we scheduled this podcast, I might have gone through a class, but I have not yet.
Right. Well, hey, we can do it again sometime in the future, maybe to see how things are going once you start getting back into it. But once you do you think you might ever do a competition?
Yeah. So one of the things that I've learned in life is that, like, I'll just say my first reaction is no. I don't have any desire to do a competition, but I don't know why people want to do a competition. And so if you don't know the why, that may be a why that you want eventually. And
Yeah.
I've talked to several guys who do compete here, and we've gotten to a little bit of the sort of the philosophy behind competition and that kind of thing. So I'm going to say no, but I'll reserve that until I learn a little bit more about myself and how myself relates to jujitsu.
Hmm. A lot of the guys I train with compete, and they're in our age group, like, um, mid 40s, early 40s, mid 40s, late 40s. A lot of them compete. But I mean, I would assume, because I don't have much interest in competing either. But it probably goes back to a similar thing for why you and I do this in the first place. Just the discomfort. It's going to be
Yep.
uncomfortable. It's going to be nerve wracking. It's going to be scary. Um, and that's part of why I think a lot of people decide to do it, right? It's like, I need to truly test myself here. Because you're testing yourself to a certain level, on the mats when you roll every time to a certain level, but not to the level that when you go to a competition and it's a complete stranger and both of you are trying to get that gold. I'm sure that's a whole different level. And a lot of the guys I've interviewed have talked about it. Apparently, it's like the one thing I've heard that's consistent is the grips. Like your grips, just your arms after one 5 minute round in a competition, your grip strength apparently is so shot after that compared to a 5 minute round, during a class. And I've talked to two dudes who broke their arm during a competition and kept going. One of them ended up winning the next match, didn't know his arm was broken. The other guy, I can't remember if he won the next match, but I mean, that's part of the reason I don't want to compete is because the number of people I've heard that have injured themselves in a competition or injured themselves training for the competition is so high. And I've already gotten way more injuries than I've ever expected. Not as bad as yours. I mean, but I've popped a rib, which is really common. I was just not doing anything weird. It just all of a sudden it popped, and then it was like cartilage. I learned later, but I was out for 2 months from that. I popped a little ligament in my forearm. I was out for 6 weeks for that. Anyway, I mean the injuries they just happen. And then you've got the worst one, fourth class ever, and you broke 3 bones in your freaking leg. And you're out for a year and a half. That's pretty bad. But I mean, those injuries, they happen. I just don't want to increase my chance of even more injuries. You know what I mean? So that's why it would be for me. But I wanted to ask you as well. You talked about books and YouTube and whatnot. This was before you started training that you decided to read books on it and watch YouTube videos? Did you actually were you actually at home by yourself with a dummy? Like, let me try and learn a
No,
triangle.
that would have been a good idea. That probably would have saved me some heartache. But no, it was just the kind of the philosophical reasons of what jiu-jitsu teaches you. I'm also a fan of chess. I'm not, once again, it's one of those things like golf. I don't play chess at a high level, but I play it well enough to know that I'm not good at chess, and seeing people that are good at it is impressive. So kind of that's really what attracted me most was the chess component of jujitsu, and some of the books. It was both of the Hickson and Henry Gracie's books. I think one of them's like the 32 Principles ever written down here. That was Henry Gracie, and then Breathe by Hickson Gracie. Those were two really good books that taught me a lot about what the higher levels of jiu-jitsu are thinking about. And I think that when we enter into something like jiu-jitsu or music or golf, whatever it is, that the desire is eventually to understand the philosophy at the high levels. And I've noticed, and I've heard this, I think that it talks about this in one of those guys' books, that a high level jiu-jitsu practitioner can speak on the same level that a high level, baseball player. That when you're at that level, there's certain philosophies that transcend those things. And so that's early on, knowing that I just wanted to learn more about that high level philosophy in jiu-jitsu. That was kind of one of my the big drivers for me to get into it. To think that from an outsider's perspective, that it's just two guys rolling on the ground trying to rip each other's arms off. But once you get past that and get into the sort of the cerebral aspect of it, it's super cerebral. And to me, that's the most fascinating thing, is like it's playing chess with your body, the way that I think someone smarter than me that knows jiu-jitsu better than I do put it.
Yeah, I mean, well, you say chess. That is a common analogy, and I've heard that before. I've never read one book on jiu-jitsu, but I don't read enough. I really should, but that I've heard that before. I've heard people say it's like not mental chess. What is it? Physical chess or something like that. That actually has a name like that. Which, I mean, even though I've done a lot of classes. I've probably done over 100 by now, which I'm almost embarrassed to say at my level, because I mean, I just nowadays, if I meet somebody at the gym, and they ask how long I've been training, I've almost been training 2 years, which is hard for me to believe, but it's been, extremely off and on. But it's the satisfaction of this sport. It's like I just took 3 months off and I just came back and and now all the people that I rolled with right before that break are significantly better
Yeah.
than they were right before that break. And I can't help but be a little discouraged by that. It's like, if I had trained all these months, I'd be, with them. But at the same time, the satisfaction of going is still there. It's like it doesn't matter that they have advanced way faster than I am and way beyond where I would be if I hadn't taken that break. It's still extremely cerebral when I go. It's still interesting. It's still fascinating. I still love it. And honestly, I think that's why I started this podcast, because it's like, okay, I'm just a lowly white belt here. What the hell do I know? There's hundreds of jiu-jitsu podcasts out there run by black belts, but I just love talking about it and learning about it. And, you know, the whole chess component, it is very cerebral. It is very mental. And after 4 classes, you already have learned that. And it sounds like you've already gotten quite a bit of satisfaction out of it, even from those few classes that you did, right?
Yeah, I did. I get a lot of satisfaction out of it. And yeah, jujitsu is a path to being uncomfortable and all of these things, and to me, I really don't, yeah, it was a path to being uncomfortable, to hitting an obstacle. When I said it, when I walked into that class, I said, look, I want to be uncomfortable. I want to overcome obstacles and, come out on the other side better, more refined. And that's exactly what I did when I broke my leg. I broke my leg. I said, okay, I can't do jujitsu. This is what got me here, but I'm going to keep reading about it, keep learning about it. And so picked up the books on it, watching YouTube, just learning about the fundamentals, and really, I was a volunteer firefighter, and when we fought a particularly hot fire that I really didn't have any business being in, I noticed that I just sucked a lot of air because when you're firefighting, you have all your air is on your back, so you can measure how much air you're using. And when I was doing volunteer firefighting, I said, okay, I got to learn how to breathe through these stressful situations. And I got to be able to breathe pretty well. I could, I didn't suck the oxygen down like I had over time. And I think that's the fundamental thing of what jiu-jitsu was teaching me, was how to breathe. Because, man, I don't think I've ever been in anything where 4 minutes of relatively not that hard physical stuff that you are just sucking air. And I think it's just a combination of the physicality with stress and a lot of other things that you just breathe hard. So that's one of the big goals. That's sort of the first goal that I want to achieve with jiu-jitsu when I get back into it. Is I don't really, I mean, I'm not a competitor. I'm not going to, I have nothing to prove. All I'm going to, and I think I've said for the first 6 months, I'm just going to learn to breathe. And whatever that issue is that I'm going through, whatever hold I'm in or whatever, just learn to breathe so I'm not sucking the bottles of air out. Because when you can't breathe, you can't do anything.
Yeah, breathing. I would say I really started to notice maybe 6 months to a year in that, because I'm smaller than most people. And I spend most of and I'm, a lower rank than a lot of the people as well. And so I spent a lot of time on my back with a dude way heavier than me, and just putting all of his weight on me. And I remember, I definitely remember starting to be able to be calm in those situations. And it has a lot to do with breathing, and it just takes time. You can't force it. You can't just tell yourself, okay, here's how I'm going. It just takes a lot of being in that situation. And I remember it was probably around a year ago in the summer when I noticed, I'm talking a dude to be like 250, because I'm like 150, 155. And a dude like 250 he was laying on top of me, and I just started to notice, I was like, oh, I'm not like stressed right now. It's like, this sucks. Don't get me wrong. This is really uncomfortable, and it sucks, and I'm probably not going to get out of this, and there's still 3 minutes on the clock.
Yeah.
But I'm all right. I'll be okay. I've been here before. I don't think, I get to the point where it's like, I don't think he's going to submit me. I got my elbows tight, but I'm going to be under him for another 3 minutes, and this is going to suck. And I'm able to breathe calmly breathe through it. So it did
But
feel pretty cool getting to that point. I mean, it's going to feel a whole lot cooler when I actually start submitting people. Not like it's never happened, but it just doesn't
I
happen
think
that
that
often for me.
I think that when you enter trying to do something uncomfortable and new and all these things, that you got to have these goals. These, the blue belt can't be a goal. The black belt can't be the goal. You got to have these short term goals. And like you said, I think it's like I'm so jealous of you, like being able to breathe under. I'm a big guy. I'm
Right.
6'6". I weigh about 220 right now.
Oh,
But a 16-year-old girl is. I just want to be able to breathe when she's like.
16
So
year old.
I have short term goals, but I think that's so. It is minor, right? To say like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I just want to be able to breathe at jujitsu.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
if you can do that, I think that translates into life big time.
Right.
And I don't know if anyone's ever talked to you about this, but the what is it? Heart rate, HRV, heart rate variability. So a lot of these Oura rings, I wear an Oura ring, Apple Watch.
Oh, yeah.
They basically measure your the variability in your heart rate, and
Okay.
the more variable your heart rate is, the more healthy you are. It's just a
Oh,
general. Okay, and I've heard a lot of people, and I've kind of researched this that uh, as you start to practice jujitsu, your heart rate variability starts increasing, so you become more healthy. The way you handle stress is more healthy. So I don't know if there's any papers written on this or anything, but I think that as you learn to breathe in stressful situations, that has a direct health benefit. And maybe this heart rate variability that I'm talking about, maybe a measurable way to measure that. But I think that minor goal of being able to just breathe when bad things are happening to you, that's huge. And
mm-hmm.
that's like right now, I had some prior goals about jujitsu. I wanted to become blue belt by this time, blah, blah, blah. But now like my sole goal is I'm going to go there and get choked out and just learn to breathe. That's my whole game.
Yeah, I think that is a very healthy and smart goal for pretty much all beginners out there. I don't remember what my specific goals were at the beginning, but I mean, 2 years. Other than honestly, I'm almost 2 years in, and pretty much I thought I'd be better than this by now. But I feel like I've said that at every kind of milestone. Like after a year, I was like, "Huh, I've been doing this a year. Shouldn't I be better than this by now?" But now it's almost 2 years. Like, oh, I'm supposed to be better than this by now. But one friend of mine who's really good, he's a three-stripe white belt now. He just said, he never ever gets discouraged because he goes in with a teeny tiny goal every time. Just don't let this happen, or
Yep.
don't let that happen. One little tiny goal, because in a sport like jiu-jitsu, odds are if you have a really a large goal, it's going to be pretty hard to attain that goal in any sort of amount of time. And a purple belt I interviewed way back when said the best belt is the white belt. That's the best belt to have because there's no pressure. You got all these little
Mhm.
tiny goals. Nobody expects anything of you. And I mean, I have my one little tiny stripe right now, and I'm trying to enjoy every minute of it. And just remembering that once you get a little bit of color on that belt, people start coming at you way harder. Yeah, no, I think the heart rate variability. I mean, I'm curious though. Isn't that true of other sports too? I guess like
Yeah,
if
it
you
probably is.
run or bike or something, you get your heart rate up and it goes back
Yeah, I
down.
think so. I just the a lot of the folks that I've talked to about it, just kind of anecdotally, uh, they'd been working out for a lot of the guys. It was CrossFit guys,
Yeah.
and they said, "Hey, look, CrossFit, my heart rate variable is here." When I switched into uh, jujitsu, my heart rate variability started climbing up. So, I mean, once again, a
Wow.
population of two or three, I don't know if that's significant, but I think
Right.
there's something that, CrossFit's great, but like you're against, like no one's going in there in CrossFit and choking you while you're doing squats or whatever. So I think that
Right.
physical, that stressor, combat stressor, my theory, what I'm hypothesizing here is it
Yeah.
does something for your mental state.
Oh yeah, no. I mean that's interesting anecdotal evidence, though. I mean I mean CrossFit's pretty high in literally the high intensity type of workout, and if your heart rate variability increases after you're into CrossFit going to jiu-jitsu. Oh, that's saying something right there for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's got to have something to do with the fact that you are engaged with somebody who is literally, you guys are going up to it's almost like you're fighting to the death. I mean, until one of you taps right before you die. But if you don't tap, your
leg will break. You don't have your leg breaks. You don't have to tap.
Your leg will break. Yes. Yeah. Several bones in your leg might break. Right. Shall we move on to the lightning round?
Absolutely.
Now, you've got 5 or 4 classes of experience, so I don't know how many of these you're going to be ready for.
I can BS my way through anything.
There we go. Okay, so favorite submission?
Not breaking my leg.
There we go.
Yeah. I've never all my submissions. Probably my wife would. I work on my submissions with my wife now.
There you go.
So I've never submitted anyone in class, but I will say that I'm probably in 4 classes. I think every submission I was shown every submission one way or the other.
It was done to you, right?
Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, I was going to ask, in those 4 classes, you actually rolled, live rolled in every single one of them, even on the first day. Because at the school I go to, you don't do a live roll until I don't know, your 5th class maybe, and they make you do these. They make you do this beginner level kind of intro stuff before you roll. Which is all good. I like it. But you rolled on day 1. Day 2, day 3, day 4.
And it is what it is. I don't know that I would suggest someone do that. I'm pretty sure I would suggest you don't do that. The school that I went to, they were great. I don't think there was. It was a freak accident. It wasn't, but that's one thing that if I were gonna start all over again, which I am. I would make sure that there was maybe some just a little bit more instruction on and maybe hey, look, when you're super tired, go take a break. And I think that was something that I would probably encourage, especially guys our age, and especially if you're not in super great shape, just go there's no shame in going and sitting on the side for a little while. And that was something that wasn't really relayed to me. And I don't know how well that my gym was set up for older guys and how much they thought into that. Once again, it was a freak thing for me, but there's other things that are not so freak that could happen to guys our age that if you're not in really good shape. So I think that's something to be aware of.
Mount or side control?
Mount.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
That uses less oxygen for me.
Ah, there we go. The breathing thing again.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you actually wash your belt?
You know what? I haven't had to wash my belt, but I do need a new pair of pants because they cut them off of me.
Okay.
And they're gone.
Oh,
so
I bet they did. Okay. Yeah, they couldn't really pull them off of you. Oh man.
Yeah.
Did any of the bones actually break the skin? Were you bleeding?
No, I was really fortunate they weren't. And another thing too, breaking your leg in a jiu-jitsu gym is not a bad place to break your leg.
Right.
I was a big snow skier, and the doctor who set my leg had a almost identical break. He broke it skiing in Vail, and he told me about getting drug off the mountain upside down in the lift. And it made me really grateful to have broke my leg inside of a jiu-jitsu gym. So if you are going to get injured, I don't really think that it's really comfortable in there to lay on the mats. The firefighters actually, I think one of the firefighters practiced jiu-jitsu. All the firefighters took their shoes off when they came in on the mat, which was kind of cool. And it was really good experience. Firefighters are super good. So don't let that be a barrier if you're scared about breaking your leg. It's a nice place to break your leg.
Right. I didn't break my leg, but I did pop. My kneecap got popped off out of place, so I dislocated it. And pretty good place for it to happen because the instructor was able to come over and pop it back in place.
Oh, that's
which
awesome.
was pretty cool. So I was able to walk out of there, drive home, no problem.
That's cool.
So if you're going to dislocate your kneecap, it's a very, very good place to do that. So I do have some more lightning round questions now. If they don't make any sense, you let me know.
Yep. Okay.
Because these have to do with the oil industry and jiu-jitsu together.
All right. I'm ready for this.
So if your guard game had a drilling method, what would it be? Vertical, horizontal, or directional?
Man, right now I would be a 1984 straight hole, simple as possible, just trying to keep the lights on.
Right. Minimal technology involved.
Minimal technology, minimal science.
Right. Okay. More dangerous, stuck pipe or stuck under a 250-pound black belt?
You know what? I would rather be stuck under a 250-pound black belt any day. Stuck pipe is the most miserable thing in the whole world.
What is that? Because most of our listeners are probably not in the oil industry.
So when you're drilling a well, ideally the pipe should be going down the whole time. You know, it's pretty obvious. But basically what happens, the hole collapses or one reason or another, the pipe gets stuck and it won't go down and it won't go up. So you're basically the whole project, you're drilling a well, and now it has the pipe that you're trying to drill the well with is now an obstacle to getting the well drilled. So you're completely stuck. Nothing can go forward. You really can't surrender at that point either because you're stuck in the hole with a massive amount of capital dollars that are invested in those tools. So it's like a standstill. Nothing can happen. You're just losing money minute by minute. Where with a 250-pound black belt, at least I can tap out and quit, and it doesn't cost me anything.
Right. You can't really tap out of the stuck pipe, huh? You're stuck there.
No.
More unpredictable, fractured rock formations or white belts with knee bars?
Fractured formations are they're scary and complicated, but I think white belts in general, me included, with a little spastic and maybe trying to prove something, they're pretty scary and they'll hurt you worse. The frac may hurt you financially, but the white belts may hurt you.
Nice.
Physically.
Now, not that you have experience submitting anybody yet. So let me modify this one. More satisfying, cementing a well or landing a sneaky submission of some kind? What do you think?
I love the oil and gas industry, but it's not my passion. And so, and I don't know if it'll be a submission or what, but just any kind of forward progress that's measurable forward progress with jiu-jitsu would just be awesome. It's awesome to think about right now, and it's awesome to just consider getting to that point where I just have a small victory. Like I said, and maybe it's where my heart rate doesn't go into the black during the class. That might be my submission.
There you go. And hey, all these small, you and I talked a lot about the small goals. But I mean, there will come a day when you land your first submission. And I don't even remember my very, very, very first one, but I remember a few of my first ones. And it's an awesome feeling when you feel that person tap and you're like, oh my God, I freaking did it. Oh my God. Yeah. And so I wish you luck, Rowdy. And I hope you don't break your leg on the first class back or the fourth class back or any of those anytime soon.
Well, I can only break my right leg now. I think my left leg's indestructible.
Oh, sweet.
So I just reduced my chance by 50% if I did my math right.
Great. I think you did.
Yeah.
Nice, man. Well, Rowdy, it's been a pleasure. Thanks again for doing this. And any last comments?
No, I just thanks so much for having me. And it's an awkward thing to have 4 jiu-jitsu classes under your belt and be talking at a jiu-jitsu thing. But I think that, jiu-jitsu is, like you said, it's just a sort of an analog for life. And you're going to run into struggles and you're going to run into obstacles and you're going to hit dead ends. So just find a way to get around them and have a good attitude while you're doing it.
Absolutely. Great words of advice from a 4-class white belt.